So in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna submitted himself before the Supreme Lord Krishna. In the first chapter, he was arguing with Krishna. He gave many reasons why he did not want to fight. He gave the reason of showing compassion towards his spiritual master, towards his relatives. He also spoke about incurring sins by killing these people. And then he further argued, saying he is not going to get any amount of happiness by killing his own kinsman. And finally, he also gave an argument that if the Kuru Vamsa things are destroyed, then the family tradition would be destroyed, and that would produce unwanted children. So these were some of the arguments made by Arjuna, and then Krishna, in the second chapter, he is actually refuting those arguments. And before Krishna spoke, Arjuna realized that he will not be able to resolve the dilemma. So he approached a higher authority, the spiritual authority. So that is what we also need to do whenever we are faced with any trivial situation which we are not able to handle ourselves. Then we are supposed to approach a higher authority. So, and then Krishna subsequently spoke. He gave the knowledge of who we really are. Are we this material body, or are we something else? So from various verses from the second chapter, we understood that the body is temporary, spirit soul is permanent. Even after death, the soul is going to traverse into next body. So there is no need for lamentation for what is going to be a temporary. Material body is temporary. What is there to lament if we lose our body? So that was the argument that Krishna made. And then Arjuna said, all right, these are my kinsmen, but I will not be able to tolerate their separation. So I will be in complete misery. So I will lose their company. So what is it that I am supposed to be doing? So then Krishna for that said, you are supposed to tolerate. Right? So we saw practically in our own life as well, we lose many of our relatives, our friends. And to overcome that situation, it takes a lot of time. So how we can overcome that situation? Bhagavad Gita knowledge helps us a lot. Just like how Arjuna was able to surpass his dilemma. So similarly, whenever we are faced with such difficult situations, this knowledge of who we really are is going to help us tremendously. Right? So though we all have material attachments, and it is difficult to overcome the separation of our near and dear ones, but with this knowledge, we will be able to overcome that situation a lot faster. Right? So we are not hard-hearted. We also have love and affection towards our family members. So though we say that we are not this body, we are the spirit soul, but when somebody passes away who is very dear to us, then obviously there will be separation, isn't it? So that is not easy to overcome. But with this knowledge, at least we know theoretically that we are not supposed to be lamenting. So this we saw, and subsequently Krishna also spoke about two duties. One duty towards our material body and the other one towards this soul. Right? Duty towards body, prescribed duty. As a Kshatriya, Arjuna was supposed to be fighting this battlefield. So all that we saw. And as a duty towards the spirit soul, it is not that you only take care of your material body. That is like taking care of the cage. But within the cage, we have wonderful bird. If we are not feeding the bird, then the bird is going to die one day. So we are supposed to be taking care of not just the cage, but also the bird within that cage. So that is nothing but feeding the spirit soul. How we can feed the spirit soul? Simple process for this Kali Yuga, chanting of this Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this is the food for spirit soul. Just like how we eat rice, dal, chapati, sabji. So that is going to feed our stomach and our body is going to get nourished. Similarly, the food for the soul is spiritual consciousness. When we are acting on a spiritual platform, that is going to give happiness to the spirit soul. We all have experienced this. If we go to temple, whenever we feel down in life, we get some amount of energy, isn't it? So how do we get that energy? Because we are connecting, trying to connect with the Supreme Soul. So those were some of the aspects. And finally, we ended up saying, having practiced all this, trying to practice all this, but we have challenges. So what is the challenge? The challenge coming in the form of sense object. We get attracted to the sense object, start developing desire, and then that transforms into lust, so on. The 8 steps of fall down, which we saw in the last week. So that's where we ended our last session. Any questions specifically from last session? Okay, so if there are no questions, then probably we can proceed with our session 3. So let me know if we can see my screen. One of you can confirm.
Yes, Guruji. Yes, Guruji.
Great. Okay, so this is an interesting chapter, chapter 3 on Karma Yoga. Often not understood properly by many of the people. So what really is Karma Yoga? Krishna is going to speak about Karma Yoga in 3 chapters, chapter 3, 4, and 5. So we are going to understand this in detail. Okay, so what are the different topics under this chapter? Between text number 1 to 9, Krishna speaks about renunciation. And the reason why Krishna touched upon this topic, Arjuna raises some questions. How am I supposed to understand renunciation? Right? So Krishna said that you are supposed to be performing your duty without attachment. Then Arjuna had a doubt.
Guruji, screen not changing.
Sorry?
Screen.
Yeah, I have shared my screen. I think everybody can see.
It's not changing, Guruji.
It's not changing, it seems, Prabhu. It's in the first page, actually.
First page itself.
Chapter 3.
Is it not showing the Karma Yoga 1 to 9, 10 to 16?
No, Prabhu, no, Prabhu.
No, Guruji.
How about now?
It's
No,
the
Prabhu.
same, Prabhuji.
Okay, let me reshare. Is that the case for everyone?
Yeah, even we can see.
Yeah, only the first page. Yeah.
It's changed now.
It's changed, Prabhu.
It's changed. It's
Now
coming,
it's changed.
Prabhu.
Just give me a minute.
Just now it changed.
Okay, Hare Krishna. So 1 to 9, Krishna talks about renunciation and then subsequently the cycle of sacrifice. So what? And then Krishna speaks about exemplary lifestyle between text number 17 to 35. And finally, we all have challenges in spiritual life. It's not going to be easy sail through. So what really is the key challenge for someone practicing karma yoga or any spiritual practices? So that will be the last point of it. Okay. And before we begin, it is actually very important to understand the concept of karma, action and reaction. Right? So it is like this: you have a ball in your hand, and you throw the ball on the wall. So the ball is going to come back and hit you, isn't it? So we all have experienced this since our childhood. We play using tennis ball or whatever. So that is nothing but the reaction for an action. So you basically bounce on a wall and it's going to come back and hit you. Right? In simple terms, that is what is the reaction. And this word karma is nothing but an activity. So you perform any activity. So reading a newspaper is an activity. Cooking at home is an activity. Watching television is an activity. Eating in a restaurant is an activity. So any activity for that sake, that is going to incur a reaction. Right? So then what really is a fruitive action? One second.
Okay.
Okay. So a fruitive action is something which you perform as per the scriptures. In the Vedas, there are a lot of prescriptions about what somebody is going to get by performing certain activity. Like, for example, performing an yajna, performing a homa. So that is going to give us some result. So that is called fruitive action. Right? So these are all positive reactions to the activity. So somebody is going to enjoy in their life by performing fruitive action. But the bottom line is, such activity is going to give us a binding, which means when somebody performs a fruitive action, he is going to enjoy the result. So for enjoying that result, he may have to take birth again in this material world. Right? But we understand from the scriptures that the nature of the soul is to be always enjoying. So it cannot enjoy in this material body because this body is made up of three miseries: Adhyatmika, Adibhautika, and Adidevika. Right? So whatever enjoyment that we are planning in this material world, unfortunately, the soul really cannot enjoy it in this present body. So even if somebody performs such fruitive action, it's not going to please the spirit soul. Right? So that's why this karma or the intricacies of karma is quite complex to understand. Right? So when we perform such fruitive action as per the scripture, then we are going to enjoy. But in case if we go against the scripture, do activities which are prohibited in the scripture, then we are going to get negative reaction or sufferings. Right? Just like somebody is killing animals, he is going to incur suffering. Somebody is cheating others, then he is going to get the reaction. Say somebody is telling a lie, he is going to incur the reaction. Right? So these are some of the things which we need to understand before trying to proceed with Karma Yoga. Okay, so then Arjuna's question is, so Krishna, if doing activity is going to give me reaction, then better not do any activity at all. Right? So that is what Arjuna considered as renunciation. So if I involve myself in this fighting in the battlefield, I am going to incur reaction. You are saying that I will go to the heavenly abode, but what is the use? Right? So better I don't perform any activity at all. Let me renounce my activities. So this was Arjuna's question. So whether I should renounce all my activities or should I perform activities as you are suggesting? What should be my course of action? So this was Arjuna's question, which he began in the 3rd chapter. So for which Krishna spoke about the prescribed duties. Right? Prescribed duties, these are elaborately mentioned in various Vedic scripts. Typically, somebody is given an education, he is actually getting married to a woman, performs certain activities towards his forefather, performs his duties as per his birth. So these are typical prescribed duties. All of us also have certain prescribed duties. Like for example, a child, when he has grown up, he is supposed to be taking care of his parents. This is because his parents were taking care of him during his childhood. So he is indebted to his parents. That is one of the prescribed duty. Right? So you cannot avoid performing activity. I cannot be saying that, let me renounce everything. I will not be in my family life. I will give up the family life. I will go to the forest. So that is not really a solution. Right? So then Krishna is driving Arjuna towards real renunciation. What is that? Verse number 5 in the chapter 3. Nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishtatya karma krit karyate hyavashak karma sarva prakriti jair gunaihi. Translation. Everyone is forced to act helplessly according to the qualities he has acquired from the modes of material nature. Therefore, no one can refrain from doing something, not even for a moment. So, nobody can refrain from doing activities. not even for a moment. Right? So, from our understanding, when somebody is in the saffron dress, then he is supposed to be a sannyasi. Right? So, that's our understanding. But not necessarily. Even though somebody may be wearing a saffron dress, but if he is having inner desires to enjoy his senses, right? So then there is no point in taking sannyas. Nobody can say that I will wear saffron dress and I will stop all the activities. I will go to Himalayas, I will go to forest, I will perform tapasya. That is not possible, unfortunately, in this material world. Right? So everybody are forced to act according to our qualities. So a person is active by nature. That is what Krishna is intending to say. Because that is the nature of soul. Nature of soul is to be always active. So in this chapter, Krishna is going to talk about what is true renunciation, what is the myth about renunciation, what are real and fake renunciation, and how we need to develop real detachment. So these are the topics covered in the first section of third chapter. True renunciation. So basically, Krishna is saying detachment from possessiveness, detachment from enjoying propensities. But that does not mean you need to stop all your activity. I need to stop those activities where my intention is to enjoy my senses. Say, for example, I want to enjoy my weekend, I go to a cinema hall. Right? So that is nothing but you are enjoying propensity. Right? So such kind of activities we need to be detached from. So then what is true renunciation? Basically, performing all activities for pleasure of Supreme Lord Krishna. That is true renunciation.
We couldn't hear you, Prabhu, that sentence.
Sorry?
Sorry, Prabhu. We couldn't hear your sentence. That sentence we couldn't hear clearly.
I said real renunciation means performing activities only to please the Supreme Lord Krishna. Any other activities which are done for our own sense enjoyment, right? So that is not going to lead us to real renunciation. So here indirectly Krishna is saying you fight in this battlefield because that is going to please me. When you are performing that activity, then that is called real renunciation. Because Arjuna did not want to fight, but in order to please Krishna, he was actually doing that activity, though he did not like that activity. That is real renunciation. For example, when we go to a temple of Lord Krishna, that is an activity, right? So we take a lot of effort. Like for example, somebody may travel to Vrindavan to take darshan of Lord Krishna's holy birthplace. So you take so much of effort to go there, you spend a lot of money, spend a lot of time. The whole activities around that that activity of going to Vrindavan is nothing but an activity performed for Lord's pleasure. Right? So that is in a way real renunciation. So spiritual life means leaving the family. That is an myth. That is not what Krishna is recommending here. In fact, if that was the case, then Krishna would have straight away told Arjuna, why you need to fight in this battlefield? Leave everything and go to forests. Right? Take renunciation, take sannyas. So he did not say that. Rather, he said, you don't give up your family life. You don't give up your Kshatriya duty. Fight in the battle because that will please me. So leaving the family is not renunciation, is not Krishna consciousness. So now what is renunciation? In the 9th sloka, Krishna is saying, Yajnartat karmano nyatra loko yam karma bandhanah tadartam karma kaunteya mukta sangas samachara. Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work causes bondage in this material world. Therefore, perform your prescribed duty for his satisfaction, and in that way, you will always remain free from bondage. So, what kind of activity should be performed? Sacrifice for Vishnu. That does not mean, inviting some brahmanas and performing yajna or homa at home. Not necessarily. Even a simple worship of the Lord in the form of his deity or photo, performing some arati, that is also a sacrifice for Vishnu. Chanting the holy name of Lord, that is also a sacrifice. So that is something which Krishna is recommending here. By performing such activities, we can actually remain free from bondage. This bondage of repeated birth, life after life in this material world, one can avoid when we can actually perform activities to please Supreme Lord Krishna. So that is what Krishna is saying here. That is real renunciation. So work for the satisfaction of Lord Vishnu. So what are the benefits? We get freedom from sinful reactions and we go back to spiritual world. The nice photo that we can see here, where somebody is providing a wonderful garland for Krishna. So this person, he was in Mathura.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I am seeing only slide number 2, Prabhu.
No, I am in slide number 11. What about others?
Yes, Prabhu, it's only on the first slide.
Yes, first.
I don't know what's happening.
Chapter 3 is divided. That is what it is showing, Prabhu, for a long time.
Now, is it 11?
Yes.
Yes, Prabhu, yes.
Okay. So when I move to the next slide, please let me know when it is on the 12th. Okay, so this photo, this person was in Mathura. When Krishna and Balaram, they come over to Mathura to kill Kamsa, they encounter this person. His name was also Sudama. So he was a very nice devotee. He was actually waiting for Krishna and Balaram to come to Mathura because he has heard about Krishna and Balaram and all their activities, and he wanted to serve them nicely. So he made wonderful garlands for Krishna. Before this, he used to make garlands for Kamsa, right? But he did not give any satisfaction. But over here, he was actually making wonderful garlands for the Supreme Lord Krishna and Balram, and they accepted this garland in a loving way. And in turn, Krishna was reciprocating. He said, "You ask whatever you want, I will give you that benediction." But this person, in a sweet way, he said, "I wanted to glorify your activities. I wanted to glorify your glories to other living entities. So that is what I want. You please bless me so that I can talk about your activities and your pastimes to all the living entities." And Krishna was so happy and he blessed him. Right? So even though someone may be working for such a demonic person like Kamsa, but when he has developed that loving attitude towards the Supreme Lord Krishna, then Krishna accepts service from such souls as well. Just like how we can see in this example. So Krishna accepted the garland. He also gave him wonderful blessings. Right? So you perform activity to please the Supreme Lord Krishna. It may be an insignificant activity. Like making a garland is not such a big thing. right? But Krishna accepted the garland. So if we can, with love and devotion, engage in Lord Krishna's service at home, then you can be a real renunciant. No need for you to leave your family and go to the forest. So that is what is clear-cut explained by Krishna here. And you can lead a peaceful and happy life. Okay, so I am moving to the next slide. Let me know if you can see.
Yes,
Slide
Prabhu. Yes, yes.
Prabhu.
Okay, wonderful. In case you are not able to see, please tell me. Okay. So in the next section, Krishna is going to talk about cycle of sacrifice. Right? You perform sacrifice for Lord Vishnu or Krishna. Then even if somebody wants to enjoy in life, that is also possible if you can actually satisfy the Supreme Lord Krishna. That is what Krishna is saying here. Moving to slide number 13. Able to see?
Yes,
Yes,
Prabhu.
yes, Prabhu.
Verse number 13. Yagya shishta shino santo muchyante sarva kilbishaihi bhunjate te tvagam papa epachantyatma karanat. The devotees of the Lord are released from all kinds of sins because they eat food which is offered first for sacrifice. Others who prepare food for personal sense enjoyment verily eat only sin. Such a profound statement here. It is very easy to not incur sin. At your home, you perform whatever, you make whatever preparations you like, say rice, dal, rasam, sambar, poriyal, sabji, whatever you make. You make nice preparations with nice consciousness, keep it in a plate and offer it to Krishna, perform Naivedya, perform offering, recite this Hare Krishna Mahamantra 3 times, put tulasi on the ingredients, whatever you have made, on the items that you have made, because Krishna does not accept anything without tulasi. So you have a bunch of tulasi at home in your fridge, take one leaf of tulasi and put it on the preparation that you have made, ring the bell, chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra 3 times, keep the plate in front of Lord Krishna's photo or deity, and you offer it nicely. And when Krishna ate that offering, that is actually a mercy of Lord, because Krishna has removed all the sins from that food. And whatever we are getting from Krishna is prasadam. Right? One may be wondering, at this point I want to make this clarification. One may be wondering that, okay, I am a vegetarian, Prabhu, all along. I did not kill any animals. I did not eat any egg or fish or any of the non-vegetarian food. Am I leading a sinless life? No, not necessarily. Even in vegetarian food, we are knowingly or unknowingly killing so many items, so many living entities. Right? Like, for example, in the rice, you may see a lot of insects, a lot of worms, so many things, right? And when we are cooking vegetables, unknowingly or knowingly, we may be killing certain insects or worms. So even when somebody is preparing a vegetarian food, it may also encourage some sinful reaction. So we can avoid that sinful reaction only when we offer that food to Krishna. So that is what Krishna is mentioning here. You perform that sacrifice to me, I will make sure that you are not going to incur any sinful reaction. So that is categorically said by Krishna. So this is what is the cycle of sacrifice mentioned by Krishna here. Coming from top to in the anti-clockwise direction, in the clockwise direction. On the top, you can see Supreme Lord Krishna, right? From Krishna came the Vedas. Whom did Krishna tell the Vedas initially? Anybody knows? Who was the first recipient of Vedas from the Supreme Lord Krishna?
Brahma.
The sun god,
Brahma.
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 So it is
Vivas-
mentioned here as well.
Vivaswan.
Yeah, so that is
Oh, it's the Bhagavad Gita.
that is Bhagavad Gita.
Brahma.
It is actually Brahma. So Krishna spoke to Brahma, right? So basically what? The Vedas. So when somebody is following the Veda, he is going to perform prescribed action, right? So he is going to perform only rightful activities, perform sacrificial offerings, right? So then he is going to perform yajna. When we offer yajna to the Supreme Lord, then automatically when the Lord is pleased, he is going to give us rain. What happens when we get rain? Automatically we get nourishment to the food grains, right? So to grow a rice or to grow a wheat, we require rain, isn't it? So where do we get rain from? Only when we perform proper yajna, sacrifice to the Supreme Lord, we are going to get rain. So what we do with food grains are consumed by the living entities, right? So when the living entities, when they consume the food grain and they offer it back to the Supreme Lord again, so that completes the cycle. So this is the cycle of sacrifice, right? I will just quickly tell again. Supreme Lord gave Vedas. From Vedas, we get the prescribed action. When we perform the prescribed action, automatically we are going to perform sacrifice. By sacrifice, Lord is pleased and he is going to give us rain. From rain, we get food grains. Food grains are consumed by the living entities. When we offer the food grain, the preparations from the food grain back to Supreme Lord in the form of Naivedya, then that completes the cycle of sacrifice. What is the secret of having a flourishing life? Abundant foodstuff for all the living entities. This is the secret. You don't consume everything for your own sense gratification. Rather, perform sacrifice for the Supreme Lord. Automatically, Lord is pleased and he is going to supply us more foodstuff. You know, at this point, I would like to tell one interesting incident which happened quite recently, right? So you all know Srila Prabhupada, isn't it? Srila Prabhupada is the founder Acharya of ISKCON. One of his senior disciple, his name was Tamal Krishna Goswami, right? He was a sannyasi, very wonderful devotee, pure. He one time went to Mauritius, right? I'm talking about early 80s, I think. So he went to Mauritius and he went and preached Krishna consciousness to all the people in that place. So very first time he went, he had a lot of audience, many people for the class. And in the class, Tamal Krishna Maharaj was actually mentioning that this Sankirtana, this chanting of Hare Krishna, is very, very powerful, that it can even bring rain. Right? When the Lord is pleased with the sacrifice of Sankirtana, then he will produce a lot of rain for us. So when he told this point, then everybody's eyes got lit up. Because in Mauritius, it so happened that for many years, they did not have any amount of rain at all. There was severe drought in that place. So when people heard this statement, they said, is that so, Swamiji? Can you please show us? Why don't you perform nice kirtan and let's see if we get rain? And Tamal Krishna Maharaj said, yeah, why not? Let's start. So, and then he started singing Hare Krishna kirtans. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Like that, he started nice kirtans.
Ah.
And you know what happened? Within 1 hour, they continuously performed nice kirtans, and within 1 hour, all of a sudden, from nowhere, suddenly the clouds started bursting, severe thunderstorm and heavy lightning, and it started to pour like anything. And it started to pour, and not just for a few hours, it just poured and poured for many days. And the people were so amazed. How is it possible that for so many years we did not have even a drop of rain? And here it is, this devotee, he started performing nice kirtan, nice sacrifice, Sankirtana sacrifice, and suddenly it started to pour. So that is the power of sacrifice. In the Kali Yuga, we cannot perform Yagyic sacrifice. We cannot perform Yajnas. If at Brahmanas, we don't have pure vastus to be performed in the Yajna. So what is the easiest process? The easiest process is the Harinama Sankirtana. Just by performing Harinama Sankirtana, the Lord is pleased, and when the Lord is pleased, then he can do anything. Producing rain is
Hare
nothing.
Krishna Prabhuji. Hare Krishna
Yes.
Prabhuji. When you turn your face towards the left, your left, then we can't hear.
Oh, okay. So let me fix my face.
Sorry, Prabhuji.
No problem. Yeah, thanks for letting me know, Mataji, because yeah. Thank you. So that shows the power of sacrifice, right? So it's not an ordinary thing. Okay, so where were we? Yes, so we saw. Yes, so cycle of sacrifice. So when we perform this Harinama Sankirtana, this is going to give us Yoga Kshemam, right? The
PPT
Kshema
is
for the
not in
entire world.
presentation mode, Prabhuji.
Sorry?
Presentation, it is not in a presentation mode, Prabhuji. It is a slide, it is independent slide. Zoom out.
Let me share again. Okay, so now you can see, I think.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, so that's about the cycle of sacrifice. So, but for the karmis or the materialistic people who are leading a life like an animal, so they are only busy eating, mating, sleeping, and defending. So for them, they don't believe in the Vedas, right? So they only want to enjoy in life. It's mostly a selfish and self-centered life, right? So for such kind of people, they don't believe in this cycle of sacrifice at all. So we have two options for a sinful or sinless life. So if we perform the sacrifice and then lead our life, then it is going to be sinless. Rather, when we don't perform the sacrifices, when we don't offer to the Supreme Lord, then we are going to actually get the result of sinful reactions, right? So without spirituality, even material enjoyment is also not possible. We are only leading a self-centered life. So that is the next section which Krishna spoke about. And now the subsequent section, Krishna is speaking about exemplary lifestyle, right? So to Arjuna, Krishna clarified what really is renunciation, true renunciation. It is not about giving up one's activity. Nobody can refrain from performing any activity. Rather, you perform your activity, but for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. So that is going to protect us from sinful reactions, right? So he goes to the next step further by saying, you need to lead by example, because whatever action a great man perform, common men follow. And whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. Right? So, Yadyadhyacharati Shreshtas, that is a sloka mentioned here. verse number 21 from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3. So, Arjuna, you are such an elevated person. When you perform some activities, then everybody will follow. Right? Even till date, Bhagavad Gita is so popular. Why? Because it was heard by Arjuna. Many of us have very good opinion about Arjuna, being a great archer, being a devotee of Lord Krishna, such a dharmic person, right? So we all tend to follow such great personalities. So in the same situation, had Arjuna denied to fight in the battle of Kurukshetra, what would people talk about Arjuna? They would probably defame Arjuna, saying that he was a coward, he ran away from fight, in spite of Krishna telling he did not fight, right? So many ill talks would come. So Krishna says, you be a leader by example. People will follow you. People follow from various walks of life, just because Sachin Tendulkar came for this advertisement, Shah Rukh Khan came, even till date people are drinking Coke or Pepsi, right? So similarly, all the bad habits also develop because we have our heroes, so-called heroes in the public life, who seem to be demonstrating that. So people tend to follow that. We assume wrong leaders, right? So we need to choose the right leader carefully. We need to select bona fide devotees of the Lord like Srila Prabhupada or great personalities from scriptures. So just like Prabhupada, I'm sure many of you would be aware, he went in the year 1965 to the US to preach this Krishna consciousness to the Western world. He took up so much of austerities. No, he only had 40 rupees in his pocket. He went to the US in a cargo ship. He had 2 heart attacks. But in spite of all that, he went to the US and he gave Krishna consciousness to the people, because of which we are seeing now so many ISKCON centers all around the world. Just because Prabhupada, being a leader of ISKCON, everybody followed him. You go to any ISKCON center around the world, wherever you go, you can see how people are following, devotees are following Prabhupada as it is. Prabhupada set the trend. He gave the entire itinerary for the day. What time should a devotee get up? Ideally, devotee should get up at 4 in the morning in the Brahma Muhurta. He should take bath. He should perform Arati to the deity. 4:30 is the Mangalarati, and then chanting till 6:37. 7 o'clock Darshanarati, and then 8 o'clock Srimad Bhagavatam class. 9 o'clock Prashadam. 12 o'clock Arati again, Bhogarati, evening Sandhyarati. Everything was given by Srila Prabhupada. And you'll be surprised, there are around 1,000 centers around the world, ISKCON centers. Anywhere you go, this is the itinerary that they would be following. Like today, for instance, I went to ISKCON Chennai for Jagannath Snan Yatra. You go to any ISKCON center around the world, you will find Snan Yatra celebration happening. I happened to meet some devotees who are attending the class today. I was so happy to meet Lata Murali Mataji, right? So you came there. I hope you performed Abhishek as well, Mataji, in today's festival. You got the chance to perform Abhishek?
Yes, Prabhuji, I got chance.
Very nice. Yeah, so you felt nice, right? Performing
Yes.
Abhishek to Lord Jagannath. So you go to anywhere around the world. Even once I went to the UK. I was on a company deputation. I went there. I straight away went to the ISKCON Soho temple in London on the Snan Yatra day, and they had this arrangement made for Snan Yatra celebration. They were performing the Abhishek for Lord Jagannath. So this happens anywhere around the world. Why it is happening? Because the devotees are following the trend set by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada being the spiritual leader, people tend to follow such personalities. So Krishna was saying to Arjuna, you be the leader. You set the trend. Let the people who are following you, let them follow the right trend. So that is most important. So a leader teaches by his conduct. Sometimes he gives instruction also. So there is no need for you to speak. Your action speaks more than your words. Right? You be a nice devotee, follow all the principles given by the Supreme Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, then automatically people whom you are trying to cultivate, who are hearing your instructions, they will automatically follow. Right? So such is the quality of a leader. We can actually correlate these days the so-called leaders, political leaders, spiritual leaders, whether they are leading in the right way or are they deceiving the people. That we can judge easily. Okay, so finally, the last section of the chapter 3 is where Krishna is speaking about the challenge in spiritual life. What are the challenges? Kamayesha, Krodayesha, Rajoguna, Samudbhavaha, Mahashano, Mahabapma, Vidyenam, Iha Vairinam. Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is lust only, Arjuna, which is born of contact with the material mode of passion and later transformed into wrath, which is all devouring sinful enemy of this world. So Krishna gave all the instruction. You perform as an act of sacrifice to me. Don't enjoy materialistic life. Don't have the enjoyment propensity. All that he gave. But still, one may not be able to follow that. Why? What is the reason? It is only because of lust. Kama. That kama is not necessarily only against the opposite sex. Kama can be towards anybody and anything. Like, for example, I may have a desire to purchase a new car. I may be having a old Maruti, but I am interested to buy a Mercedes Benz. That is nothing but kama. So when lust develops, that is going to take us away from the Supreme Lord. I will forget all the instruction given by the Lord, Supreme Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. Why? It's because of lust. Because eventually the lust is going to transform into wrath or anger. When I am having a lusty desire, I am not able to fulfill that desire, that gets transformed into anger. So this is something which we need to be watchful of. Watch out for the dangerous enemy. Else what happens? One might end up in lower species of life. If we have so much of lusty desire, then in the next life we will be born with such a body. Say for example, I will give you one example which Prabhupada often quotes. Somebody is having an inclination or lusty desire to eat anything and everything. Whatever he sees, he wants to eat. He does not know whether it is sinful or pious. If somebody is having such an intention, the Lord will give that living entity a chance in the next life to be born as a pig. Why pig? Because pig is one animal which does not discriminate between a good food and a bad food. For a pig, even the drainage water is a good food. It thrives in drainage, right? So we need to conquer our lusts. If we let loose our lusty desires, then it would give us a great devastation at the end of this life, because we may have to take birth in the lower species of life in the form of an animal, which is not going to do any good for us. So this is the greatest challenge that Krishna is talking about here. And what is it that I need to be doing? I need to find out where that lusty desire is sitting. It could be sitting in my senses, in my mind, or it could be in my intelligence. So what should I be doing? I should be regulating my senses. I should be engaging my mind in spiritual activities like chanting the holy name. And I should be engaging my intelligence in gaining knowledge of the spiritual matters. Right? With your hands, with your eyes, with your legs, with your senses, you perform seva, services to the Supreme Lord. You go to temple, that is actually regulation of your senses. You actually make a nice garland, mala, for the Lord at home, that is regulation of senses. By engaging your senses in the Lord's service, you are actually regulating your senses. Similarly, the lust can sit in your mind as well. How you can regulate that? By chanting the holy name. By constantly chanting, your mind will be engaged forcibly in the Lord's service. And finally, when the lust is sitting in your intelligence, then you can spiritualize your intelligence by learning about spiritual subject matters. So these are some of the practical means how we can overcome this enemy of lust and we can defeat it. Right? And we can also engage our lusty desires and our anger in the Lord's service. Like, for example, when somebody has this habit of getting anger, even without much of provocation, then he can engage it in the Lord's service. Similar example, how Bhakta Hanuman, he was engaging his krodha, his anger, by devastating the entire Lanka. Right? We all know that pastime which happened in Lanka. So with the tail, so basically Ravana and his followers, they lit his tail, and what did Hanuman do? He actually roamed throughout Lanka and he set fire. Right? And like that, he devastated the entire Lanka. So that is one way how we can redirect our anger in Krishna's service. And similarly, lusty desires can also be engaged in Krishna's service. You have a desire to buy a nice phone. No problem, you can buy a phone, but use that phone in actually performing some devotional service. You can watch nice YouTube classes of wonderful devotees. You can watch live darshan of ISKCON Chennai or ISKCON Mayapur. You can speak to the devotees. So like that, you can engage all the sense objects in the Lord's service. Right? So basically, you can curtail these enemies by curtailing your lusty desire, and anger can also be engaged in the Lord's service. So Prabhupada says when somebody is want to control his anger, he can dovetail that anger to those who are disturbing the Krishna conscious movement. So you can find many demonic people even in Kali Yuga who don't want temples to be built. So you can divert anger towards such people. So that is one way by which you can dovetail your anger. Right? So this is a glimpse into the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So basically, we saw about karma, what karma is. And so we also saw how the Lord is saying that one cannot, even for a moment, remain without performing karma or activities. But that activity should be done as an activity of offering to the Supreme Lord. So when you can please the Supreme Lord by performing sacrifices, by that we are going to not get any sins out of it. And the Lord is pleased. He is going to bestow his mercy upon us. And we also saw how the cycle of sacrifice has to be performed. We get the Vedas from the Lord, and from Vedas, we get to know the sacrifices to be performed. By performing the sacrifice, we get grains. From grains, the living entities live, and living entities, when they offer food back to the Supreme Lord Krishna, that completes the cycle of sacrifice. So, and we also saw about how great men has to lead by example, and Krishna was saying, you perform your duties, you perform your activities to please me. By doing so, everyone will follow you. So you be an example leader so that others will follow and they will not go into a false path of false renunciation. True renunciation means performing activity only for the satisfaction of Supreme Lord Krishna. And finally, we saw how even though one may want to perform only activities to please Krishna, but still we are not able to do so. What is the reason behind that? The reason being that we are all captivated by lust. And how to overcome that lusty desire? We need to find out where and all lust is sitting. It could be sitting in our senses or in our mind, or it could be in the intelligence. So we can purify our senses, mind and intelligence. By doing so, we can actually conquer the enemy of lust. And we also saw how anger can also be dovetailed in the Lord's service. Anger, when it is exhibited towards other living entities, is detrimental for us. But when we can engage the anger in the Lord's service, just like how Hanuman did, that is perfect use of anger. So these are some of the aspects that we saw from chapter 3. I know that there are many things that are mentioned by the Supreme Lord in chapter 3. We can go on and on, but I just want to give a glimpse of what chapter 3 is all about. We will talk in detail about further concepts of karma yoga, like the sakama karma yoga, nishkama karma yoga, and so on in the next chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So with that, I will stop here. Any questions or comments that you have, you can please ask.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. My children are abroad, they are in states. It's very difficult for them to watch your videos. You know, it's very difficult for them to attend the class at this time. It is night time there, you know, in the states.
Okay.
So how can we get the videos? They say if you send the video, we can watch.
So these videos are posted in the group, Mataji. They can watch anytime.
Which group, Prabhuji?
So we have
the
this
same
18 days Bhagavad Gita group, na?
Yeah, but I didn't see any.
You are not part of that group?
I've just joined. Last class I joined, but I don't see. I've just joined the group.
No.
Okay, I'll ask one Mataji.
Yeah.
I'll
So I
ask
will
one Mataji then.
Yeah, I will repost all the previous classes video as well. It's all uploaded into the YouTube. I can share the link again.
Yes, okay. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Any questions? Yes, Jai Shri Mataji. You can unmute.
I couldn't attend first two sessions. Chapter
I'm
1
going to
and 2.
repost the session, Mataji. YouTube videos.
Okay.
You can watch it later. Any questions? I'm sorry for all the technical glitches. Today I had a bad day with the
It's
electricity.
okay, Prabhuji. Happens. It
Yeah, with the
happens. It's
electricity.
okay.
Yeah, somehow I managed to handle the session. I was at one point worried if I would be able to continue because literally didn't have power. Somehow by the Lord's mercy, the electrician came and rectified. I was able to continue. Hope you can watch the video again, the YouTube recordings. In case if you find any questions, you can always ask. You can
Yes, Prabhuji.
you can unicast message to me on my WhatsApp, or we can discuss in the next week as well, as you wish.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Dandat Pranam, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Hare
Thank you all
Krishna.
devotees.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so
Hare
much.
Krishna,
Srimad
Prabhu.
Bhagavad
Thank you.
Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Aapki jai.
Hare
Hare Krishna. So watch you. See you all again tomorrow.
Thank you, Pranam Guruji.
So,
Prabhuji. Thank
see you
you.
all tomorrow. Yeah. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.